We are back, ladies and gentlemen, with more MAGFAST 2023. Yours truly, the Hexagon One HCH, being your host tonight. We are getting ready for our next run, which is Spyro the Dragon from the PlayStation 1 with debianchan and friends. So with that, we do have one donation that's going to this run, a $20 donation. And I hope I don't butcher your name, so I apologize in advance, but Yoluga donated 20, said, good luck from your community, debianchan. Glad to see you're running for such a great cause, donating 10 for each time you free Cletus during the run. Here's hoping for a successful credit skip.
Nice.
With that being said, take it away.
All right, one of you want to come me down?
debianchan to your mark. Get set, go.
All right, so I'm debianchan. I'm going to be running Spyro 120%, the full completion category. To my right here is Stump.
Hello, I'm the Stump 230 you might see in chat.
And I am Praise Big Dog. Hi, everyone.
So this is the full completion category, 120%. We'll be collecting over the course of the next hour or 45 minutes, hopefully less. 14,000 treasure you see scattered about. We'll be freeing 80 dragons, of which Nestor here is one of them. And we will be collecting 12 stolen eggs from some thieves that taunt us. Unfortunately, we have to sit here and listen to Nestor. He's the only dragon in the game that we have to listen to. I'm talking over him because he's just telling us to find dragons. I just told you that. But we're immediately actually going to go straight into this flight level here. Flight levels are unlike anything else in the game. It's a little bit strange that the first level in the run is a flight level. In this level, we can sort of fly around for free, up, down, left, right, and we're not really collecting gems. We're flaming things instead. So I'm going to focus here for this.
That unlocks by jumping on those 5 stones. There is a dragon in Magic Crafters that will tell you about it, but you can still do it anyway. But this is the first flight level. There's one of these in each homeworld, and there are 4 sets of 8 targets, and you get gems for completing each one in within the time limit, and some bonus time for hitting each target. Not that time is going to be a real issue here. There's more gems for getting all 32 targets in one shot, so that's what we're doing here.
Just got a couple of donations in.
Yeah, this is a great time for them.
$25 donation from Glad Bags.
Hey.
So excited to see my favorite guys on stage running this wonderful game. Good luck, Deb. And Zando Toaster donated $250.
Nice.
I am very excited to see the legendary trick, credit skip, performed at a marathon. Good luck, D-Dub.
Thanks so much.
You make our community proud. Thank you guys so much for those donations.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much, Gladbags. Thank you, Zando.
And just like that, we're out of the first level.
Yeah. All right, so now we're actually going to be collecting some gems here. So we have these enemies that we're flaming, charging, collecting gems from, freeing a few dragons here and there, jumping into our first level. You can see, unlike the flight level, we're not actually really able to fly anymore, unfortunately. It'd be a very fast game if we could. So we'll just be charging around here and jumping into our first level. Praise, I think this is your favorite level, right?
Yeah, Dark Hollow is one of my favorite levels. It's a really good level for showing off just how, I guess, simple the mechanics of the game actually are. There's, as you mentioned, jumping, gliding, charging, and flaming, and that's about all you get to work with, really. There are some, conditional things like rolling and sort of, I guess, tumbling. But more than anything, you just sort of chain these things together in a very precise way to...
That makes sparks sometimes isn't the most helpful.
Missed that gem there. There we go. Yeah, as Praise was saying, this game is it's not trick heavy at all. All I'm going to be doing, although it's very fast-paced and collecting things basically every second, I'm chaining my movement together in very, very precise ways to preserve momentum as much as possible and make some jumps that are just not casually possible, just doable. And by doing that, we're going to be doing a little bit more advanced platforming and saving a little bit more time. Maybe I should have my controller like this so the audience can see some of the things that we do as speedrunners, some of the weird ways we have to hold the controller to get things to happen.
This level is intended to be the introduction to the mechanics of large enemies and metal armor. Metal armor can be charged but not flamed, and large enemies can be flamed but not charged.
Almost didn't get that. So just like that, we're exiting the level. We have this cool end of like return home portal here, this vortex. We'll be jumping into that. Oh, that 99 gems in the corner really stuck me. Thought I missed the gem.
Yeah. We went into that portal to exit rather than exiting through the menu, which you'll be seeing in most of the remaining levels for a very specific reason, which is coming up right now. Well, after we clear these gems out.
Yeah.
This dragon mouth contains the portal to the next level we're going to do, but you need to exit one of the other levels through its exit vortex to have it open.
And within that dragon mouth is our first boss level of the game.
So boss levels work a bit strangely in this game. In particular, if this weren't 120%, the boss levels are effectively optional because they're just a level like any other, but one that happens to have a boss in it. But we do still need to do them. There also tends to not be fodder in them, so taking damage in them is not the best thing.
Fodder, of course, being the smaller enemies you see. Or I guess maybe not enemies because they don't attack you, just innocent creatures that you take out. They become butterflies, and Sparks will collect them for you, regaining some health.
They're the passive mobs of Spyro.
Yes. So that wide circle around that dog caused it to jump off the edge and thus automatically be defeated and have its gem home in on us.
All right, so we're coming up on the actual boss. He's very scary. Nevin, the dragon that we just skipped over because it's kind of slow to listen to him, tells us we really got to pay attention to this guy. He's crafty. He's look at him. Look at this scary guy. Wow. He's really some. Is he a sheep?
Sheep on stilts. Just 3 hits and...
In fact, the hardest part of that level was collecting that gem. There we go. And just like that, we're out toasty. We beat our first boss. Easy, easy. All right, now on to the next level, Stone Hill. We're really clearing these out pretty quickly. 7 minutes in and already three worlds down. Pretty good. All right, so right here, there's a kind of fun little strat. Usually you have to use whirlwinds to get up here, but we can just do this. Nice little roll up the fountain there. Not intended to be able to do that, but you can, so we do it. And that allows us to shorten the path up to this higher part of the level. We're going to be diving down, getting some final gems after that.
And up on this higher part of the level, we do encounter what I believe is our first egg thief, right?
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
This guy. He's taunting us.
Now, usually you run
Didn't last long.
just a little faster than these guys. But if you're clever, you can kind of cut them off right at the start there.
And the tumbling animation that the water fountain put us into, like, normally you just fall down whatever slope caused you to go into that animation pretty quick. But if you hold jump while you land on something that puts you into that animation, you still get a jump. That's how we got up there.
Yeah, Ricky J in chat knows what's up. Head roll for the wind.
Yeah.
We just got a $20 donation from Blue Shine. Absolutely wonderful to watch such talented runner play this game so quick. Good luck, guys.
Oh,
We
Thanks so
also
much, Blue
got a $50 donation that just came in from HTTAM. Says the game.
wow.
I
That
guess I
being
have to
said,
lose.
thank you so much for the donations.
Now, while those donations were being read out, we got a key, which will introduce us to a new type of chest in this level. A locked chest.
And it appears we got the one cycle on the 2 rows of chests that were in the back of this room. You gotta be lined up pretty well to get that.
So here in the room, how many of you grew up playing Spyro? How many of you played this before? A lot of you. Nice.
Nice.
So there's 2 versions of this game, and actually just thus 2 versions of this speedrun too. There's the one you see here with it's the low poly version. It's the OG version, and they did a reskin of this called Spyro Reignited, which is high poly and really pretty. And I missed a gem. Let me go back and get that. So the speed tech is actually very different in that game, and some of the levels are also very different as well. But in that room in particular, that circular room I charged through, one of the differences you can't do that fast strat. You can't get all those boxes in one go. It's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame. There we are. All right, now on to, actually, it's one of my favorite levels. A lot of speedrunners don't like this level because it's kind of boring. It's not really that interesting. It's called Town Square, and this is a level that was meant to teach you how to glide, like how to do something. I guess we have been doing a little bit of gliding, but how to get from one platform to another over a long distance. And to do that, you jump and then you press X again and you glide. Tomas, who we freed in the previous world, in the previous level, told us that. But you don't actually need to glide to get over here. You just charge. Pretty easy. In fact, I think there's only one jump in this level I actually use a glide for.
And here we encounter a type of chest we haven't seen yet in this run, a spring chest. Hitting one of those will cause it to launch its gem up into the air where we can jump up and get it.
I did a little glide there for you just to see that.
Now, one thing that's been happening that's a little bit subtle but worth mentioning is that Debian's trying to collect these dragons from a particular side. Every dragon has a cutscene associated to it, and even though we're mashing X, I believe, to get through that cutscene without hearing the dialogue, Spyro will still walk to the point where he's supposed to be standing in order for that cutscene to play. And of course, walking is slower than charging, so we want to touch the dragon from the side of its pedestal that is closest to that sort of spot that he's going to walk to.
I'm sure that dragon's very thankful for being released. And I'm also very happy to see all those Debian 3 hypes in chat for that first spring chest. We also saw our first fan chest back near that dragon. That's one where if it's flamed 3 times in fast enough succession, it will break. And it will also launch a projectile into the air that can do damage to something else. It even has a slight homing effect. We'll be taking advantage of that in some later levels.
All right, so that is the first homeworld we're clearing out. We're going straight to the balloons here. It's going to take us to the next homeworld. Looks like we're just over 13 minutes. That's pretty good artisans. So on to Peacekeepers, first homeworld. All right, so I can't unhear this. Friend of the channel, Gladbags, told me this once. After we free this dragon, listen to the sound that the guy I'm about to flame here makes when you kill him. Bless you. Sounds like someone violently sneezing.
I never thought of it that way.
So again, we're going to start the homeworld with a flight level, night flight. Notable because every collectible in it is stationary, which means what, Debian?
Every single mistake I make is my own.
There you go.
We just got a $10 donation from Glad Bags. Excuse me. Bless you.
There we go.
That was perfect. Thank you.
Also, I think Peacekeepers has the best music in the game. So the music in this game was composed by the drummer for the band The Police, Stuart Copeland, and he sort of pivoted quite hard from adult rock into video game music. Man, the bass line's on this. The bass line's on this. Oh my.
Oh.
I was rocking to the bass line. Let's try that again.
Just wanted to enjoy the music for a little longer.
Yeah, we did. So every mistake is my own praise.
One of the things about this particular flight level is that none of the targets are moving, so this is more about just getting to and from each one and not about worrying about cycles as much on the route.
But one thing you'll see me doing is, instead of sort of flying through these, like the chests and the lighthouses I'm needing to flame, I want to cut the lines as close as possible, so I'm using the absolute edge of my flame, like there, and missing it. And if you get the line slightly wrong, you miss it, and you have to go back and you lose a little bit of time.
The flame hitbox is a lot larger than you might think it is.
Alright, here we go. Time 2.
And that was an animation skip at the end.
Yeah, so
Did
usually...
we talk about that at the end of Sunny Flight?
No. So usually we, at the end of the flight, Spyro's really excited. He flies up into the air, and you have to watch him fly up into the air, and it's a waste of time, really. So instead, if you get him to crash into something after you've collected everything in the level, flamed everything in the level, he crashes and he doesn't fly up in the air, and it's faster. So we try to aim Spyro into something right at the end there, and he bonks and saves time. All right, so beginning of this level, we said that there were those fan chests. We saw one of those in Town Square. And they actually, when you flame them, the fan on them sort of shoots up into the air, but it acts as a projectile. So here I'm going to flame this, and listen. You might have heard in the distance a Nork being one of these enemies being hurt by that projectile. Unfortunately, we can't see him because he's actually kind of far away, but the exact angle I took on that flame lets the projectile shoot out and kill a Nork, so we don't have to do it ourselves. I'll point out the gem that he dropped when we get to it. Come on, give me that. There it is.
We just got a $10 donation from Big Dumb Bean saying, I'm telling everyone that I'm friends with celebrities now. Do Spyro fast. Good luck.
Thanks,
Thank you
Bean.
so much.
Thanks, Bean.
Let's listen to this dragon play out.
Incredible glide, Spyro. I thought I'd be stuck here forever with those ugly vultures standing on my head. Those birds might look tough, but they're pretty tasty. Flame broiled, with a pinch of salt.
Unfortunately, as speedrunners, we don't get to listen to the dragon cutscenes. We're blasting through them. We're mashing X as fast as hard as we possibly can. That pink gem was the gem we killed, by the way. So it's always fun to have a little opportunity to listen to one of those dragons.
I can't count the number of times I've bonked off of that platform, off that fan chest.
Yeah. All right, now this level has basically been, it's been pretty easy. You know, there haven't been many big challenges, and I said the run's mostly movement-based, but there's a little bit of a trick coming up here called a spin jump that I'm going to do. Roughly, if you're at the right angle, at the right height, you can make Spyro charge up onto a platform. So let's see if I can do this here. There you go. You're not supposed to be able to make that jump. You saw it was kind of low and there was a little stutter and the game didn't know what to do, so it bumped me up to the top of that platform. Now the reason we do that, well, it's kind of flashy, so it's kind of fun too. So it's actually a pretty good reason to do something in speedrunning, even if it loses a few seconds. But that one actually gains us or saves us quite a lot of time. So usually, to get that platform, it's just out of reach, and what you have to do, what the game intends you to do, is jump up these stairs, collect all the gems, and glide over. You can sort of just see it off to the right. And you would glide over there, and then have to do it again to get over to these chests here. And so you're saving a good, like, 10-15 seconds by doing that.
Those are a type of chest we haven't seen before, a fireworks chest. Those explode after a little bit if you flame them, or explode right away if you charge them. If you can spare the hit point to charge them, that will get them open faster, but you can't always spare the hit point.
Well, speaking of hit points, we haven't properly discussed who or what Sparks is.
Does anyone really know what Sparks is?
Well, some people didn't raise their hand for having ever played Spyro
That's
before,
true.
so... For those that don't know, Sparks is this little dragonfly that's sort of chasing you around and helping you out. It's sort of twofold your health indicator. When gold, you're at full health and you can take 3 hits. When blue, you've taken a hit and you've got sort of 2 left before Sparks will disappear. Green is 1 hit left, and then Sparks is gone and the next hit will knock you out. And as long as you have Sparks, whenever you're touching the ground, Sparks will look on that same sort of level that you're on for gems that are near enough to you. Knowing Sparks' range that, you know, will get searched is pretty important, because oftentimes you cut it a little too far and you're just running past the gem.
So here we're sort of stretching our jump height a little bit by jumping from a charge and then jumping at the and then charging at the end of the resulting glide. And that lets us get up to those platforms that normally you can't jump up to.
There was this thing about platformers in the 90s, you know, they love to put things just out of reach. And the fun thing about speedrunning is that just out of reach becomes just in reach.
This makes Spyro 2 particularly interesting with the movement tech that exists there.
Between Spyro 1 and Spyro 2, they completely changed the game engine. For a Spyro 1 runner like me, it feels very weird to play Spyro 2 and 3. It feels very, very strange. And there are a lot of people who can do both, but they're very different game engines. In Spyro 2, there's a pretty big bug. I'd say it's a pretty big bug, where you can double jump. You're not supposed to be able to double jump. You can sort of just charge up into the air. And it allows you to get anywhere, basically. It's the speed run is crazy.
So many things just out of reach, but no longer are just out of reach.
So in Spyro 2, the 100% category involves beating the final boss right at the beginning, because you can sort of just get there immediately. You know, you can boss rush, and then you get the final power-up, which is like a super flame, and it's faster that way. But we're talking about Spyro 1, right? So maybe... If only we had super flame in Spyro 1. Oh.
Ooh.
And there we go. Good gem count coming out of Clifftown.
Now, I believe we're going to interact with our first ever cannon here, right?
Don't remind me. I hate cannons.
Like the projectiles from fan chests, the cannonballs do have a bit of a homing effect onto things that they can hit. Ooh, portal bomb.
And Dr. Shemp here, by the way, is the boss level for the second homeworld, and an interesting sort of a fashion icon, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. He is really 90s fashion. But we're going to have to clear out this level. This is a nice, fun, like very fast level to go through.
Also the level, or one of the levels anyway, that if you let the game sort of idle on the start screen for long enough, the demo will play for you. And won't exactly do a very good job.
So when you get this this level fast, it's pretty satisfying. You're just every half second someone's coming at you and take care of them. Lonely little 25 value gem there. But that was the warm-up. Now we get to face the actual boss, and he's the best boss in the game, hands down. He's not hard. He's the best boss. His name's Dr. Shemp, and look at him. Look at him. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. It's probably like 90 degrees out, and he's wearing metal sandals.
I can't imagine metal sandals are very comfortable in any situation.
And there we go. Unfortunately, Dr. Shemp is no more.
Ooh. Yeah, that 25 gem didn't want to come with us.
Yeah. It's all right. All right, now on to the final level in the world. It's kind of strange, you know, all these levels have been basically like desert themed, but now we're just going to go into an icy world. I guess they couldn't think of another desert. I don't know. Maybe it's Antarctica. Antarctica is a desert, right?
Or maybe they knew that technically Antarctica is the world's largest desert.
Learning things with debianchan. So the gimmick in this level is that it's slippery. And so you have all these big Gnorc, and if you remember from all the way from the beginning, we learned that you flame big things and you charge things wearing metal armor. What if it's both? What if it's both big and wearing metal armor? You can't flame it, you can't charge it.
Window roll. Nice.
Well, in that case, you have to use the gimmick of the level, which is push them off a cliff. Life advice. When in doubt, you see someone who's big and wearing metal armor, and you need their gem, look for a cliff.
We got a $5 donation from Aunt Tam. I like how this little dragon charges around like a goat hitting things. Thank you so much.
That's one for goat. Ooh, that's all right. So there are two routes to this level. There is one route which you kind of go through the level in reverse, and there's one route where you take a death there, intentionally in the route and unintentionally if you're me, and you get this chest here first. Now, remember, it's a key chest, so you have to have the key, and that's why we did a little glide there. And the key chest is kind of awkwardly placed. It's before the key. You have to go all the way back to get it. So you have two opportunities. Either you can go through the level backwards once, or you can take a death. You'll be transported back to the last dragon you freed. Do a little dance with that guy. You'll be teleported back to the last dragon you freed, and that puts you, well, right where the chest is, right where that key chest is.
We also got a $10 anonymous donation They have a question. First of all, I forgot how hard the Spyro music goes. For all you on the stage, what's your favorite Spyro song?
Favorite Spyro song? That is a good question.
Lofty Castle.
A lot of people like Lofty Castle. I like Dr. Shemp's stack. That bass line, they did not EQ the level at all, so whenever you stream it, no one can hear you over the bass line. I like Dr. Shemp's level of music. Praise, do you have a favorite?
Well, honestly, I was gonna ask which one's the one where the EQ is all wrong, but I do also like the Sunny Flight music. But I also just like Sunny Flight as a level, like as a whole.
It's a very unpopular opinion
Yeah.
among speedrunners.
Very controversial to me.
Sure. All right, coming to a close here in Ice Cavern. This is the final room here in this route. We're gonna pick up an extra life here. It's a little bit morbid, you know, the extra life chests, like, have Spyro's skin on the outside and something inside them. It's kind of weird.
Something occasionally raising the lid a little bit and peeking out.
All right, we have 20 more gems to clean up, or I guess 16 gems now. And then we're out of this world, out of the second home world. As fast as it came, so fast it went. And we get to talk to our bud, Gosnold, the best balloonist. And on to the next world.
Now, Magic Crafters is where things start to really heat up, right? You've got your enemies who are going to sort of manipulate the terrain around you and fire projectiles. There's a lot more larger creatures going on here.
Oh, did we miss the previous balloonist's namesake?
Marco. No, we didn't. There are two Marcos. Gosnold or Marco?
Marco.
Marco, okay. Yeah, there are two Marcos in the game. There's one dragon who's from New York. He has the strongest Brooklyn accent. He tells you, he congratulates you on getting a place in Clifftown. And then there's Marco the balloonist, who must also be from New York, right? That's how those things work.
There's that fan chest projectile homing effect in action.
So I think this is the first level where we actually have to worry about the cycles the enemies are on. So rather than just going as fast as possible, we're sort of gate-kept by enemies that are manipulating the terrain. So these stairs here, they're being manipulated by this guy here. We can actually roll up them, but
Yeah, they have the tumbling animation, so you can take advantage of tumbling animation jumps.
that chest didn't want to break. But we have to be very concerned with where we are in the cycle. And it's a global cycle, so you can look at one part of the cycle and how fast you're going through the level, if you've made any mistakes or anything, and judge where in the cycle you are for later things. And that can inform what type of movement you do. So here, for instance, I was a little bit slow because of that bonk.
Ooh.
Creating dramatic tension there.
This also means I'm not going to make this cycle easily. There we are, okay.
All right.
So I had to do a little bit of runabout there to get in a place where I could be certain that I'd make that cycle. And this here as well, it's actually pretty easy. So rather than stopping, waiting for all that terrain manipulation to happen, if you know where you are in the cycle, you can move fast.
We got a $5 donation from Homie Hamburger. Hi, I'm Homie Hamburger. Good luck, Deb. The only thing hotter than Spyro's breath is a kiss from the praise. Big dog. Thank you so
Homie.
much.
Praise. I'm starting to get a little fatigued here. This, I don't know if I can go on.
I have no answers.
Yeah, this is starting to get tough. This is starting to get really tough. Wow.
I mean, it happens, right?
It does, yeah.
It's like not unknown for a speedrunner to sort of like get roughly to this point in the game. You know, it's a little unclear what to do next, and they kind of just throw
like
their
sort of
hands
glide
up.
into a wall.
Oh God. Or, ooh,
You could see the dastardly smile on the egg thief's face.
So to save memory, they have the visual like collision the polygons, but they also need to have the collision polygons. So the things you can see and the things you can touch. And to save memory, they didn't think anyone was going to fly into that polygon. Who would fly into that polygon? So I flew into that polygon. And it happens to be faster because the egg thief doesn't expect you to do it either. Apparently the egg thieves think like the video game developers. And he runs straight at you. So you flame him, you get him, it's pretty easy. Rather than chasing around the whole track, in the remake, you're not able to do that. And if you played the remake, chasing him around that track like 3 times just is not fun. But we can subvert that entirely and just get him quick. So this is the first instance of something called a supercharge. So you can see I'm kind of charging pretty fast, so that's why it's called a supercharge. It's pretty super. And we actually already, first supercharge of the game, we abused the mechanic. You're supposed to use that to charge and get a chest later on, and we will do that. But instead, we did a little turnaround. We sort of jumped off some scenery. It's kind of not an easy thing to do, not something you're intended to do. And sorry, while I get through this cavern. Once you do that, you can kind of dive into a cave and pick up a key chest. You know those chests you need keys to break open? Well, you don't need keys. You just need to run at it really, really hard. Another life lesson from Spyro. So rather than going later in the level and collecting all the keys and everything, or the singular key, we can just easily get it with a nice fast supercharge.
Also, that ending part there functions as a small supercharge ramp.
There we are. Also, that little supercharge there, you can see, you didn't even probably see the arrows of the supercharge. The supercharge strats are pretty intense in this game. Things move fast, so for one, you need to have good reactions, but also you need to know where the collision with the supercharge is. Just like with that wall we flew into, it's not always exactly where the arrows along the ground are that sort of denote the supercharge. And finally, there's also something, I'll do it here, you can get more, I don't know what it is, momentum, power, something from the supercharge, denoted by the color of the flame, by chaining them together, or actually just jumping onto the supercharge. It will convince the game to think you've been supercharging for a really long time. Again, also, you're not supposed to be able to get up here with the supercharge. You're supposed to get that fairy kiss that we just got. This level introduces another gimmick, this super flame, which lets you flame the monster bugs, which are big and which are iron coated. So there's no cliff to push them over like there was in Ice Cavern, so you have to use a super flame. You have to be kissed by that fairy. She gives you super flame for a little bit of time, and you can kill them. We can also do it with supercharges like I'm doing here. Again, probably not the intended way, but fast.
There's only one other level in the game that has Super Flame, and that one completely revolves around it. but we'll be getting to that one much later.
So in this level, it's sort of designed to teach you how to use the supercharge. You know, we had the one right out in the homeworld initially, but you can see, maybe you can sort of see, I tried to give you a little bit of time to see down there. There are 3 fairies that are sort of flying around, and there they are, see? And they're flying in formation, and if you bonk off something, they carry you up to the supercharge. You can't die in this place. It's supposed to sort of teach you how to use the supercharge.
Oh. It looks to me more like one of them's leading the other 2 and carrying you back up there.
The one is just like, the pirate is like, you know, go this way, go this way. But you can see it took a lot of time, right? So that little demonstration there, which was completely intentional, I swear, was, you know, it demonstrates just how long it takes to use those safety strats that the game is designed for. We don't want to make those mistakes.
And at the end there, we used a fan chest projectile, which we fired off to the side by flaming that first fan chest at an angle to defeat the egg thief. You don't have to be next to the egg thief when it dies to get the egg.
Oh, I missed one. I'll get him later.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is actually one of my favorite levels. I think this is my favorite level in the whole game. First, it has the Amanda show theme as its song. No one knows why that is. Someone probably knows why that is. I don't know why that is. But also, this first part of the level is really, really, really fun. Ooh. How are we gonna do this? How are we gonna save this? Let me go hide in this corner here. Let me.
Yeah, that's a good
Hopefully
place to
nobody
think
can
about it.
Whoa!
Well, that's one way to do it.
That's one way to do it. Did I make that look sufficiently unintentional? We practiced that. We practiced the commentary for that.
World-class acting.
Yeah,
Now, coming up, we're going to see a little bit of fun with a supercharge.
more specifically, stacking of supercharges.
But for the moment, we're gonna go the other way.
This trick,
I have a history with this trick.
yeah,
I have a long and tortured history with this trick.
it's Debbie's favorite trick.
I have a very long and tortured history with this trick. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to just get enough to charge, dive around here, and jump off this ramp here and get up there.
I did not think that was going to make it.
I didn't either.
I had no doubts.
And so when we do that, instead of going all the way around, the intentional way is like it's like a blind glide. They can't have imagined, like, you know, 5-year-olds would have figured that out. But you're certainly not supposed to do it that way. But by jumping off the scenery, just sort of clipping off just barely, you can get enough of a ramp that you got all those gems. You can get just enough of a ramp that you can dive up onto that little ledge there and get the 16, as I found out the other day. There it is. You can get the 16 gems that are up there. It's 16 I just learned because, oops, I did that wrong. Yeah, it's 16 I just learned because there was one run I did quite recently that I was just having so much fun that I didn't do it, which is kind of bad in a completionist category. Not the having fun part, the not doing it. And I, ended the level. I'm like, I'm 16 gems short. What? Where are the 16 gems that I missed? And Stump thankfully was in chat and told me where it was.
I'm trying to remember where exactly that was. Oh, that was.
It was just a week ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, for that first supercharged jump out to those platforms, Sparks has a slightly wider range when you're supercharging, and that included grabbing a few gems from behind that wall at the back of that platform.
Let's listen to Lucas.
Listen carefully, Spyro. There's a secret area in the artisan home. It is at the waterfall. Try jumping on the stones there.
Artisan home, waterfall. Sounds good.
Yeah, Lucas just told us about the first level we did.
Pretty much the very first thing we did outside of rescuing Nestor.
Yeah, you get pretty deep in the game before they try to clue you in at all, really.
Yeah.
If you do go back there after rescuing that dragon, those stones do light up one by one as you jump on them. But they still completely work, even without that, thankfully.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So, while I'm doing Crystal Flight, how about you tell them about Bodar Skip?
Alright, so what we were trying to do there was go into the back of that portal with the camera off to the side so that it would take some time to catch up with the portal surface. Spyro continues moving through the portal as that happens, but the level won't unload. So if Spyro does touch the dragon that's on the other side, that will count as rescuing the dragon, so we won't have to deal with that as we leave the level. That will save some time because the dragon rescuing sequence, even when you do skip the dragon conversation, takes a bit. But the camera sort of got stuck between the portal surface and the frame of the portal, so it may have caught up to the portal before Spyro hit the dragon. So
We'll see.
we might or might not have rescued the dragon already.
The fun sort of irony of it is that you try to skip Boldar, and if you don't, you fly out of this level, rescue him, and he tells you about the level that you just exited.
Let's listen to it.
This portal leads to a special place where you can learn to fly. I remember when I was a young dragon, earning my wings.
Okay, this is getting pretty
Learn to
long.
fly. Got it.
Me and Spyro are on the same page.
Yep.
All right. Now on to the final boss of this of the game. No, the homeworld. Conveniently placed at the end, unlike the other bosses, which are sort of just randomly in the middle of the world and don't look anything different. This is Blowhard. Blowhard is a tornado.
He's a wizard that lives on a tornado, yeah.
Good
And
home.
the interesting thing about living on a tornado means that the gems that come out of him spawn from slightly off the ground. You may have noticed that Debian, when he defeats a boss, does sort of a roll over the area that the gems would otherwise spawn from. This allows Sparks to see them before they really fly out and collect them before they sort of, explode out everywhere. Because Blowhard is not actually on the ground when he is defeated, and Spyro does roll over sort of that spot, one of the gems refuses to be collected and sort of introduces a fun little aspect of RNG into the game.
It's not fun. There's nothing fun about this aspect.
fun
Where
for
the gem will just fly out in a random direction. You can't do anything about it. Very close. But yeah, this is Blowhard here. He lives on a tornado. He wears a wizard hat.
So we'll see that rolling mechanic in action when we deliver the final hit here.
And here we go. Let's do a little roll. Oh, we
Nice.
got all the
Oh,
gems.
wow.
Good RNG.
That's how we roll.
Get out. All right, and now that is Magic Crafters. I think I have all the gems. I have all the eggs. And on to Peacemakers. Beastmakers is hard.
But it's also home of your favorite dragon, right?
That's true. Oh, we gotta listen to Cletus.
So the gimmick in Beastmakers is that we've got some dark science going on. Electricity. There's, as you can see there, these Norks that are using, I guess, electrified wands of some description to shock the ground, and if Spyro touches it at all, or well, for the most part, he's in trouble and gets hurt. This also makes the sort of levels a lot more cycle heavy and cycle dependent, because there are entire sort of swaths of the level that you just can't be on if you don't make it there in time, or if you sort of get there too early.
So one thing you might see me doing here that's actually pretty unique to Spyro as a platformer. Spyro doesn't like turning. He really does not like turning. It's slow, it does a little turnaround animation, which is kind of cute and everything. He slides on the ground, but it's slow. And so what I'm trying to do as much as possible is do little jumps in the air when I want to turn, like here, because that's faster. It doesn't do the little turnaround animation, and you can turn more tightly, more quickly. So the run is sort of a dance between the square button on the controller to charge and the X button on the controller to do little turns. You want to be in as straight lines as possible, because turning is hard, but when you do, you want to be very judicious with those turns. I missed that. I missed that.
All right, there we go. Oh, that's going to be interesting to clean
Backup
up now.
strat, yeah.
Yeah, right? We discovered a new backup strat. Did I get on that jet? I did. Okay.
I think you got it. Huh, interesting. You definitely were on the electrical thing there.
That's the mostly part of you're in trouble when a platform's electrified. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, they didn't think it important to add sort of a hitbox to that area. Or
Yeah.
they just forgot.
That little triangle closest to that area doesn't count as electrified,
That's usually
even though it looks like it.
So, last bit of Terrace Village here. Diving out into another flight level soon, but actually, Cletus is the next split, isn't he?
I think so?
Yeah.
And right before Cletus, my favorite room in the game. This little circular alcove where if you do it right, you're just charging at, what I think, 8, 9 chests all at once. Well, in 2 rows. It's pretty satisfying if you get it.
So after that
Go.
flight level, though, is a level called Misty Bog, which is painful.
Oh, yes it is.
It's the enemies are tough. The enemies are really tough, like a huge step up from all of the previous levels. There's only 2 fodder, so you can only heal yourself twice. And so I want to be very already, even though it's 2 levels away, I need to know what sparks I'm on. In fact, I was sort of thinking about that as I do Terrace Village, the last level I was doing, because I want to be on either green or blue sparks. Unfortunately, one of the fodder is the first thing, right in your face at the beginning of the level. So you can sort of get a 1-up immediate, or a 1-up on health immediately. But after that, it's kind of tough.
Yeah, there, I believe, are fewer fodder in that level by a long shot than in the boss level of this world.
I like light. colorful. It's good music.
This is a good one.
So that was another example of an animation skip there. Spyro was trying to sort of fly up and do a little somersault and be happy about finishing a level, but
We're not going to let me.
yeah, we didn't let him. We ended in a place where there was a ceiling to collide with, and that sort of instantly brings up the menu.
Spyro, it's great to see you, but I've got to go.
That's mysterious.
Right? What a character. And now the easiest level in the game.
Yep. That last enemy
wanna
has
do it
an
again.
interesting property. If you don't defeat that enemy and then you enter and leave this level, he's gone and just drops the gem.
We just got a $10 donation from Big Dump Bean. I'll donate anything that lets me listen to Deb talking. I'm still waiting for him to start a podcast. Thank you so much.
We thought about doing a podcast where it was me speedrunning and trying to explain my day job, linguistics. That
I
sounds
realized
so
you didn't
stressful.
know how to explain linguistics. So.
The disfluency.
Oh, we should have done like, an amount to donate to ask a linguistics question.
Oh, I vetoed that.
Oh.
So one of the big dangers in this level is these melted turnip-looking creatures that are sort of sidling up to Spyro. They're trying to munch on him. They don't even really eat him, these things. But it's sort of a nightmare to get caught by them because it takes ages, these sort of damage animation. They sort of eat you up, they chew on you, they think about it, they take another taste, and then they spit you out.
Oh yeah.
All that time.
That's a long animation.
Yeah.
It's like 7 seconds. So you may notice I'm doing this like very quick little flame here before some of these enemies to try to kill them. So there's a little bit of check in the game called flame charging. So usually when you kill an enemy by charging into them like this, you see that gem homed into me? It just flew straight at me. But when you flame them, the gem just sort of flies up in the air and falls down. You may have seen me jump up and try to catch some of them before they hit the ground, just to get it a little bit faster. But those enemies that you have to flame, the small ones, or especially iron-covered ones, non-iron-covered small ones, you don't want to be just hopping up and collecting those gems. You really would love it if the gem homed in at you. Oop, ooh. What just happened? I guess I
The
need to
right
explain
thing in
the
a
game
weird
more.
way?
Yeah. What you do, and this happens on chests, it happens on enemies, if you do a flame, kill the enemy, and then on the next frame, you do a charge, then the game, that's when it does its little check is, oh, I just saw an enemy was killed. Was it killed with a flame or with a charge? It thinks you did it with a charge, even though you actually killed it with the flame. And so I do this little circle square, very fast little trick. What? Sparks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sparks not always being the most helpful dragonfly.
Well, I think Sparks was giving us time to mention that it's coming up here. It's one of the more challenging rooms in the game. It's
Yes.
just filled with these enemies that have unfortunate range and really jam-packed with them.
Almost
Yeah.
damageless.
Those frogs are annoying.
So if you played this as a kid, you remember that room. You remember that room. There's a category of this game that I like to play called Sparksless, where you just don't have sparks. And so you have to touch all the gems manually, and any hit you take is a death blow. And that room is painful. Any hit you take kills you, and it's like playing it as a kid. It feels exactly like when I was playing it as a kid.
I mean,
Speaking of,
Yeah, bringing up Sparks, this is a good sort of transition into mentioning there's other ways to play the game.
Before we do that here, let's talk a little bit about treetops.
Yeah.
I'll get back to that.
Yeah.
I have thoughts on that. So treetops is another one of those levels that, as a kid, you may have found very, very difficult. In particular because they don't tell you how to beat it, and it's another gimmick. It's not just going through the level collecting things. You're supposed to follow that thief over there that you saw. You have a little cutscene at the beginning where he starts chasing, and he starts running, and you have to chase him, and he just tours around the entire level. And speedrunners don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. Even though we know the way he goes, it's so strange. The intended way to beat this level is incredibly, incredibly strange. And so here you're seeing me in just a second doing, actually not just a second, for the rest of the level, doing very strange supercharged strats, making them look easy, hopefully making them look easy, and doing tricks that maybe as a kid took you forever to figure out. So this one's actually not that much of a trick, just doing that little supercharge there, getting over to this island. I think I want this life. I have 6 lives. I didn't need that life.
But as Debbie was explaining, oftentimes the intended strats for this game require just chaining supercharge after supercharge and circling around the entire map a couple times. And instead, speedrunners figured out
We just do this. You're not supposed to be able to do that, but it's really easy. In fact, that looked exactly like how you're supposed to do it. Instead, you're supposed to go around the level like clockwise. You're supposed to chase the thief. It's crazy.
And that thief's path even includes going the wrong way on one supercharge ramp.
It's so counterintuitive, but you can just charge and make the jump. There are actually other ways to do that as well. There's an out of bounds, I guess not out of bounds exactly, but you can sort of clip through a wall and get through to there. You can
And
jump up onto, do a little leap over the wall. There are so many ways to do it, and they're all much easier than the intended way, and much more intuitive too.
yeah, even the good old 270 degrees to the right jump.
All right, there's going to be just one more little trick here coming up after this room, and it's called Stone Knot. It's named after a runner named Stone Knot, and it looks a little bit like this.
Nice.
a little like that.
A little like that.
Essentially, that was a supercharged version of a wall glide. You're abusing the geometry, right? And just
Yeah.
launching yourself straight up.
They put a ramp on there. They didn't think it would be a ramp, but I think it's a ramp. So I use it as a ramp.
We got a $5 donation just came in from Gummy saying, I'm a language teacher. Please tell us an interesting logistics thing.
Oh, no. Hey, Praise, do you want to talk about other categories while I think of a linguistics fact?
Excellent. So, right now we're doing the 120%. That's the completion run. That's sort of everything. But you can also do an any percent run, which is kind of how I did it as a kid, where you're just sort of trying to beat the game, and whatever percentage that is that requires you to get there, you do it, and you do it as quickly as you can.
That is quite a few percent, though, because the Beastmakers and Dreamweavers balloonist requirements are a bit onerous.
This is true.
One of the first co-streams we did was me doing under 20 and you doing a blind any percent.
Yeah, I
race.
just sort of was like, hey, I know this game from childhood. I'm sure it's not that bad. And I went, hey, how quickly can I beat the game? Debbie alongside me, grabbing everything to beat the game. And I think I won by like a minute. So there's some skill there, it turns out.
If I recall, we're 1 and 1, right? I think we, if I recall.
But interestingly, we sort of saw Debbie go into a vortex one time. There is an entire category just about vortexes.
Oh yes, that's a fun one. there are so many levels you play completely differently because you are just trying to get to the vortex and nothing else. And we really mean nothing else because in that category you actually do get to use a cheat that unlocks all the worlds, and you just have to then get to the vortex of every level. This also means that the balloonist at the end of Magic Crafters can either be a really good friend or the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, so we didn't see that gimmick. What's up with that? In 120, we don't ever play with that, right?
Right. Yeah, in 120 we got the requirement for that balloonist more than satisfied, but that balloonist requires 5 eggs. Actually, every single egg in the game is accessible and collected before we talk to that balloonist here. But if you don't have any eggs, that balloonist will offer to take you to a level that has an egg in it, and that can be in a different world, and thus shortcut some of the whole world movement in Vortex %. And you hope to get the proper RNG for that.
Okay, so I have a linguistics fact redemption, right? There's one thing that's coming up here that I won't be able to explain a linguistics fact in time, so let me do that here. We mentioned that Sparks will only be looking at gems sort of when Spyro's on the ground, not when he's in the air. He's also very slow at it. So if I were to not jump onto that gem, see the little 1 next to Spyro's butt? That little 1, I collected that gem. If I weren't to jump onto it and have Spyro collect it, if Sparks were, Sparks is too slow, and he'll be collecting the gem, and the balloonist there will interrupt us. The dialogue will happen, and we won't. Whoa! Already fodder. Already.
You won't
We were
be
going to
able
bring this up
collect
later,
that
but those fodder are the worst in the game.
They can cause interesting proxies if you rescue the dragon coming up just right, though.
But the reason we had to jump on that gem was because Sparks isn't fast enough to collect it. And by the time we're out of the homeworld, by the time the balloonist wants to talk to us, Sparks still hasn't gotten the gem. And it's just a few frames, but it makes a difference. Oh boy, linguistics fact. So, here's a fun one. So when I'm speaking English, like right now, it doesn't always happen, but when I am now, you have the subject first, right? Then you have the verb, then you have the object. I see stump. Right? Right now I see stump. I can't anymore because I have to look at the screen. If you know other languages, like German, for instance, there are places in German where the verb comes at the end, or Russian can be like this, or Latin you may have learned plays like this, and so it's like subject, object, verb. Now you might imagine, I can put the things in any order possible. There must be a language out there that's verb, subject, object.
What?
It doesn't want me talking about linguistics. Let's try that again.
Yeah, I
went through
also noticed something a bit concerning during that level transition.
Gem. This
What?
gem? This gem, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one gem missing somewhere.
There we go. What was I saying? So you might imagine that you could have the verb anywhere, right? You might imagine that this is a language you have the verb first. You have verb, subject, object. There is such a language, it's Irish. You might imagine you have... Stumpy, you all right?
Yes, I am now, but if you go around that in a way that gets the camera stuck on that doorframe, seemed might happen there, the game crashes.
Oh. That's a reasonable response then.
I keep being interrupted with my linguistics fact. You know, I came here on vacation.
I don't know, I think Blue Shine's excited about this linguistics fact.
So you might imagine that there's a language out there somewhere that has I don't know, something like object, subject, verb, or something like verb, object, subject. And you might imagine, well, why is one better than the other? They should be roughly equal, right? In fact, it's incredibly rare. This is your linguistics fact gummy, so thank you for the $5. That wasn't a donation incentive, but I will treat it as such. There really aren't many languages. There are like a handful, if any, that have things that are not subject, verb, object like English, subject, object, verb like Latin, or verb, subject, object like Irish. And even the Irish case is kind of strange. And there are theories as to why that is, but it's still a little bit strange that you'd imagine you'd have any possible order. If you can have all of the orders attested, you imagine you could have any of them. You really don't see that. You have to go to like the wilds of the Amazon to find like 1 or 2 languages that have verb, object, subject. That's enough linguistics.
Yeah. There is a channel point reward in Debian's chat for asking linguistics questions.
And it's too low. It's too few channel points. How many gems was I missing, by the way?
Huh?
How many gems was I missing, by the way?
1 somewhere before that balloonist. I don't remember whether it was correct coming out of Metalhead, though.
I think it was.
Oh, these gems are still here because we got a second fairy skip by being fast enough off the super flame from the first fairy to use it to flame open the door that you're supposed to use the second fairy super flame to open. That saved a bit of time.
Sparks is on vacation. I'm so glad I'm not at that level. That's my least favorite level. If something goes wrong, you lose like a minute and a half, invariably. But now that we're out of that level, we get to go to a nice fun level. Dark Passage.
So you might have noticed that the enemies are sort of changing shape. That's more or less the main gimmick for this homeworld and for the levels in it. When the enemies are in the dark, I believe, they're in their larger forms? Yeah. And when they're in the light, they're in their smaller forms. They can hurt you either way, but in their larger forms, they're a lot more of a hassle. In fact, I believe those turtles become more or less unkillable.
Yep.
Pretty much.
So instead, the turtles and the little dogs there, what we do is we flame the fools. And those little fools that you see over there, with the lanterns, they become the lanterns. And they keep these dogs small, rather than the monster fuel that you might have just seen there, like these guys. And by doing that, we're able to kill them.
Oh.
Now, the other notable thing about these dogs is that, much like what I called a melted turnip from earlier, they have a pretty long animation. They simulate it, which is sort of in big mode, grab you up and munch you.
I wonder whether that's longer than the things from Misty Bob.
That's a good question.
Now, in that particular room, that fool never actually lights the lantern until you hit him.
I am getting some pretty good cycles on these. Pretty happy about that.
So do we want to talk about that special puddle that's coming up?
I'm sorry. So all this goo down here is toxic. If I fall in it, I take damage. Except this.
Oh, nice.
You didn't know that? It's so it's a sort of strange thing. In the boss level of the last homeworld, Metalhead, which we were talking about other things during, there is also a puddle like that. It's a yellow one, and yellow is the more delicious color, so it kills you instantly. You don't take any damage, you just die. We judiciously jumped over it, thankfully, but it's sort of like the inverse of that pool of goo that we just saw there. But I guess the lead designer of the game, Ted Price, thought we can't have nice things because in the European version, the Japanese version, they changed that one just there that you can stand on to kill you instantly. So that's a North American exclusive. All right, closing out Dark Passage here. See that big guy, there's nothing I can do with him.
Whirlwind, who needs those?
Those enemies
this
are my
guy.
favorite. I love the noise they make.
Oh, payback. Payback for pushing me off. We get to listen to them again, though.
Yeah.
You know, just listen to these guys. They're the best.
They really are. This may look like it's a cycle, but it isn't.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do to do that faster, at least that we know of. It's completely dependent on where you are in the level. So if you run up to them, they get big and you have to wait.
And in fact, that beam is coming from a cannon.
Not another cannon. I hate cannons.
Well, let's find out if this one.
So this cannon here, now we control it. We could shoot any of them, make them big or small. This guy here, we want to make him small. And this unlocks as part of the homeworld here. In fact, it unlocks the icy flight for us.
Unlocks asterisk because you can damage boost over those.
Welcome to the Dreamweavers, young one. While chasing Nasty's minions in this world, you must expect the unexpected and prepare for what is not there.
I like Latif. He's a pretty good dragon.
Yeah.
It's interesting how deep into the homeworld he is to welcome you.
Oh, definitely.
We've been
Also, there was something that could have happened there called cannon glitch, where one of those two enemies wouldn't have shrunk. We would have needed to death warp and try again if that had happened.
As far as I understand, no one really knows why that happens completely. There are some strategies you can use to minimize its chance, but it happens. It happens to,
Mostly
on
prayer.
world record pace, it happens no matter what. This is some pretty good music, too.
This is a good one.
Unfortunately, this flight is actually, I think it's the most difficult, personally. It's the one I find the most difficult. It's the one I spend the most time practicing in. Not only are things moving, and on a global cycle too, but that first part where actually nothing is moving, all the turns are very, very sharp, and how fast you do it affects the rest of the level too. So the flight is sort of, at least in this route, in two different parts. There's the very tight turns, and then the little bit at the end where you have to collect all the trains and all the helicopter dudes. Are they holding the helicopter? What are they doing? Do they just have it attached to their heads? I don't know. But, and so it's sort of you want to do the first part as fast as possible to get on a good cycle.
Lofty Castle. Level of 100 routes, right?
Yes. Which one will I do today? I sort of oscillate between two of them. I think I'll do this one. I feel a little bit more comfortable with this one. So, Lofty Castle is huge. Like, of all the Spyro levels, it's certainly the biggest. It's a level that is so open that you can do multiple different routes through. But it's also one of the most unoptimized levels. So you might think that, well, that wasn't in part my fault, but you might think I just like sort of dove off the cliff there because I missed a button on my controller. I assure you, that isn't the case. There's a loading zone there. What they expect is that you free all the fairies and you have enough time for the level to load. But I didn't do that. I was going fast. And so there's like a single frame, or a handful of frames, where it will just eat your input. And so you have to attack it at the right angle, and unfortunately I didn't attack it at the right angle.
Yeah, particularly when entering that area, I often see actually noticeable lag.
On certain emulators, for instance. We're playing on a PlayStation 2 here, because it spins the disc faster than a PlayStation 1, so it's faster.
Yeah, well, I remember seeing that on a PlayStation.
And yeah, so on the original PlayStation, on certain emulators, it's like you can see the frame drop. In fact, there was a little frame drop there if you saw too. There were too many particles on the screen. So as they got closer to the end of this game when they were developing it, they didn't have the time to optimize it in the way they did before. We're going to make use of that a little bit in the first level of the next homeworld. Let's wait for this cycle. And we're going to abuse that fact to kill an enemy through a wall, to explode a chest that shouldn't be exploded, and just we're going to get like 3 frames a second. It's going to be great. But for now, we just got to get through the lag. Oh, what was that? That was my fault. That wasn't the game's. I hit the X button too late. Game over. That's all right. One of the nice things about these later levels is that when you game over, they set you right in front of the level, so it's not really that big a time loss. And in fact, the beginning of the level is closer to where I want it to be anyway, so that was exactly the right thing to do. Okay, as we're going through here, let's clean this bit up. So there's as I was saying, this is sort of towards the end of the development, and the gems here are all kind of low valued.
Red fan chest type.
That's the only fan chest in the game that has a red gem in it. Because fan chests are kind of hard to break, like you need to flame them 3 times. You'd think that there'd be a little bit more of a warden. And for most of them there are. But here at the end of the game, they didn't have the time to rebalance the gems, so they put a red gem in that. And for all that effort of flaming 3 times, at the right timing and everything, I'm only rewarded with a single 1 value red gem.
Now there is another unique chest in this level, isn't there?
Oh, yes, there is. One
Yes.
that I hope anyone in here who is subbed to debianchan will
Celebrate.
properly celebrate.
These spring chests here that you've seen throughout the game, we see them in all sorts of colors, blue, gold, etc. I know more colors, I promise. But there's only one in the game that actually has a singular red gem in it. And we're coming up on it soon.
Oh, I forgot the key. Oops. I died, didn't I? Oh, and I can't get out. Oh no. Oh no.
It
Look
was
away.
because of the game over.
Yeah. So this, you see these spring chests here? Green? And this guy, this red guy here.
Debian 3 hype.
Only one in the game. Okay, we have to go back, unfortunately, get that key. Way down. The
There
chat
we
is
are.
full of red fan chests. I love this. Oh, I have to make that. All right, and that should be everything. Finally. Okay, finally we get to go on to another one of my favorite levels, Jacques. He's a pogo stick.
He's
Like he
a
bounces
monster.
around and Jack in the Box pogo stick thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jacques is the boss of this homeworld, and he's peculiar. Kind of, I think, the most intimidating of the bosses.
In terms of looks, surely, yeah. Shemka's certainly the most intimidating in terms of cool factor.
Like charisma.
Yeah.
But I guess Jacques is also trying to give you presents or something such.
We can find where we need to go before the balloonist. So another type of fool here. When hit, they become a timer. And when the timer expires, I feel bad about causing the fools to do that to themselves.
Look at them. They hit their heads over and over again during the bell. It's great.
So now we're coming up on Jacques.
Oh yes,
Oh, we should listen to Revealo.
we should.
We should listen to Revealo.
Very good advice we're given.
This creature.
Very good life advice.
Jacques might actually be the second shortest boss fight. It's like a really quick boss fight.
But the most rewarding boss.
Yeah.
Even Nasty Nork only gives you 125 gems.
So this is Revealo here.
Any advice before this battle?
Advice. A wise dragon once told me, aim high in life, but watch out for flying boxes.
Wise words, I use them every day.
Is this the only boss level that has 2 dragons in it?
I believe so.
I didn't know that. This is what's going on in my mind now. Why would they do that? All right, that's a good gem count for this level, so we are out of Jacques.
Yeah, a good jump count for this level.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah, we gotta find what world we gotta go to.
I think it's in the home world. I'm gonna bet it's in the home world. Oop. We need that gem.
First we gotta say no here. All right.
I did that for you. Okay, we have to go back and now talk to him again.
How certain are we that it? Okay. Yeah, I would have noticed earlier if we missed it earlier. So, the question is, what gem is it? I was wondering if we'd go for the wall glide around that side.
Nope. I value my life. My lives.
I'm pretty sure we had the right gem count
Going
coming
into
out of Misty Bog
So,
and coming out of Treetops.
so it could be a red gem right here.
There it is.
That guy. You sort of get this supernatural ability to remember where all the gems in the game are. 14,000 of them in value. And remember which are where and what, especially if you run Sparxus and you have to touch every single one of those gems manually. It's a portion of my brain that I'm not going to ever be able to use for anything else, and it's really sad.
So you'll notice here in Nasty's world, we've got dragon heads again. And that means that in order to open up the next level, you will have to actually go through the whirlwind. So there will be no more sort of quick menuing out once you've got everything. Although that's not too bad, because in Nasty's world, a lot of the levels are very linear. You sort of collect everything and then just are at the whirlwind anyway.
So, an interesting thing that I'm pretty sure I remember hearing about for not being able to menu out of these levels is that I think in the PAL version, if you menu out after getting 100% of the level, that does count.
Yeah. So you don't even need, I don't think you even need to do the toasty wall glide or anything like that. So we didn't need to exit through that portal if we were playing PAL. There are some weird version differences between the North American version and the European version. Some of it comes down to the physics is tied to the frame rate. So PAL has a lower frame rate.
Lower.
And that means you can jump higher. Just the way the game is coded, you can actually jump a little bit higher in PAL. So there are certain jumps that are either just barely possible in the North American version or not at all possible. And in the PAL run, which isn't done by many people, actually very, very few people, they're possible. In fact, there are a lot more free. Nope.
Oh,
RNG.
all right. Nice.
Very well done.
So that is called barrel skip. Because we did not have to hit that barrel up there down onto that chest. It also had some other helpful effects that we'll see later in the level.
Yes. And it also, as you saw, made my game like tank to like 5 frames a second. Well, it figured out what to do with all those particles.
Well, that's better handling of too many particles than Spyro 3 has.
Yes. Let's listen to Tomas. He's a pretty good one.
Wow! I never thought I'd be rescued, especially by such a little dragon. What I mean is, I always believed in you, Spyro.
Gotta believe.
Yeah, there you go.
That 5 gem is from another one of those enemies on a barrel, which pre-exploded as part of barrel skip.
Missed that shit. So, eagle-eyed viewers among you might have noticed that some of the dragons we've been freeing, like Tomas, for instance, like who else did we free? We freed Latif again. Have appeared twice with different voices. That's a little strange, but got RNG chest there. So they don't really ever explain this, but what the theory is, canonically, is that those dragons are trying to defeat Nasty. They don't trust Spyro. So they go and try to defeat Nasty Nork himself, and
They get recrystallized.
yeah, they fail.
The first dragon you rescue covers this.
He does? I always skip him, I don't know.
He says something, well, or at least it's implied, because that one starts with Spyro saying, "Hey, didn't I already free you?"
Doesn't he say like, then like enter cove or something? Does he wallows? He doesn't give an answer. Okay, but what this does mean is we get to free my favorite dragon twice. We get to free Cletus twice, and we get to listen to Cletus twice because we had the donation incentive to listen to some dragons. So Cletus, honored being the only dragon we get to listen to twice in the speedrun.
So one of the key differences between the original Spyro from 1998 and the Spyro Reignited trilogy is sort of the entire look of these North Commandos, their whole sort of vibe and what they're about. As you saw with that guy, he had a gun, and he was firing at you Doritos. He was more or less trying to flavor blast you.
Yeah, speaking of which, I hope to see some Doritos chips in chat.
But
Possibly followed by Stumpy Bump.
in the Reignited trilogy version, you know, having a children's game with guns in it doesn't quite fly in the same way it did in 1998. They changed it to these sort of goop blasters, this sort of purpley.
Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
They went
Yeah,
Doritos
Mountain Dew
Dew.
purple flavor. Grape, I guess.
Yeah, Mountain Dew code purple, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Oh my, yes. We just skipped Cletus, I'm sorry. I was on autopilot. I meant to have you listen to Cletus again.
Well, we could always do that
that's
anyway
alright.
through the platform.
Yeah, we can. So, Cletus is actually the most useful dragon in the game, not just my favorite, because we death abused him not just once, but twice in this run, or in this level rather. So we supercharged to get up there, to get up to that little thing I just flew away from. We're gonna die here. Use one of our deaths, so we now have copious deaths because we're at game over. So let's listen to him this time.
Be on the lookout for North Commandos, Spyro.
They better be on the lookout for me.
Nice.
I just love the way he bounces.
All right, so we death abused once, so we can go now here and use our supercharge to get this strong chest. And now we get to see Cletus again. It's faster to take those two deaths and teleport back than walk back. Even though it's such a short distance. Where's that guy? Even though it's such a short distance. Ooh. Yeah, that guy was in my way.
Yeah, we took some Doritos to the face there.
All right, so we're going into the final boss. The final boss is actually the easiest boss in the game. He only takes 2 flames to kill, but we're going to make him hard. And that's because the real final boss in this game is the credits. You can't skip the credits in the game, and they're 2.5 minutes long. Well, I tell a lie, you can skip the credits in the game. Usually you just, you know, if you're not doing this strat, you'd kind of just sit and watch the credits and give thanks to the people who made this wonderful game. But what we are going to be doing is, actually, does one of you want to explain credit skip?
Sure. So, in the room where you deliver the final hit to Nasty Nork, well, the top of it isn't solid. Well, I guess there's a bit of a different mechanic I should explain first. So when you deliver that final hit, Nasty Nork gives you 100 gems. And since this is 120%, we do need all of them. But that happens sort of slowly during over a few seconds during the cutscene in which like Nasty Nork dies and Spyro kind of is happy about that. And then after that finishes, the credits play. Now, so you might think, well, how can we get those gems to Spyro without the thing finishing? And, well, it turns out that if you beat Nasty but get killed by one of his attacks at the same time, that's not enough time for all of the gems to spawn, so you gotta stretch it out a bit. So it turns out that the top of that room isn't solid, so you can do a little proxy jump off of him and flame him from below and land in the goo. And that takes enough time that you do get all 100 gems. But don't have the credits play. Ideally, you do this with 0 lives so that you game over and thus spawn right back in the homeworld.
So it's a very precise trick, so as they say in the US Open, quiet please. Quiet in the room. Okay, one attempt didn't work, let's try it again. Get in a better position. Okay, let's give it one more attempt. So you get to see something called fast thieves here, which is...
Yeah, that second one's particularly fun because hugging that right wall causes the thief to take off toward you.
So as I said, if you get this trick, you save 2.5 minutes. And all along this run I've been saying, it's movement. You know, we save like 1/10 of a second by doing a flame charge or something like that, and there are just so many of them in the run. This is the one exception to that, where we're saving minutes in the run. So it makes sense to take that death and try one more time. I'll only try one more time because it can go on forever, and if we don't get it, we don't get it, but hopefully we at least get the proxy and you get to see sort of what it looks like. Ooh.
Right.
Okay, so you see what I was trying to do there?
Proxy.
I'm trying to bounce off his chest. One more try. We have green sparks. Yeah, one more try.
Not quite.
Unfortunately. So what we just did is a strat called credit skip skip, which is where we skip doing the credit
Sorry
skips.
it took so long. Kind of forgot about that.
What about Ganasty Ganor?
So we're going to watch the credits here.
Toast.
So now there's order again. in
Any
the
interesting
Dragon
conversation you want to make?
Well, most of
We have 2.5 minutes of time to fill.
Kingdom? What will you do next?
Any interesting conversation to make?
Oh, we actually got a donation that just came in. Ward Plimpton donated $10. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Of course, there is still plenty of time to donate here at MAGFest. Exclamation donate in the chat. Or if you here in the audience want to donate, we got a QR code over here to the right side of the room that you can donate here live and leave comments or questions as well. Thank you guys so much.
What happened to the music?
Oh, the run hasn't ended yet.
This is 120%.
Yeah.
We've gotten 100% now.
The run. Yeah, so we have 100. Well, we have a 99% right now.
Yeah, there's one more dragon, a couple more gems in the home world, and then loot.
That's all right. Don't worry about the timer. There we go. We have the music back. Yeah. So the reason we would want to skip the credits is because there's stuff after. I mean, you could sort of skip the credits in any percent, right?
Yes.
Just doesn't count for the time. So.
Right. Yeah, there also is an alternative skip here, but yeah, we sort of crashed the game when we tried to do it in practice. So
Yeah. There's a hardware manipulation you can do.
yeah.
You can remove the disk at a very certain point in the credits, and put the disk back in. It will confuse the game because it can't load. It doesn't know what to do, and it just says, "Well, let's go back. Let's skip the credits. I don't know what to do. Let's skip the credits." So you can skip the credits that way by removing the disk and putting it back in. It's slower than doing this sort of credit skip that I tried to demonstrate here. And depending on the console, it can crash the game, and in practice, it crashed the game. So in that case, the timer would have been over. So
No sheep were harmed during the creation of this game.
A few norks, but no sheep.
all right. So we have one more level. We did just defeat the final boss, but it's a platformer from the. Oops, I touched Magus on the wrong side. I thought I got credit skip. It's a platformer from the 90s, and so they had to, like, full completion had to be 120%. Let me get a little fodder here.
And our last level is Nasty's Loot, which is a unique level in the game, not just for the fact that it happens after 100%, but the mechanics of the level.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I don't believe they actually explained this to you, but you are allowed to free fly as though it were a flight level, but only to a certain height. There's sort of this invisible ceiling above you, and that ceiling changes with the height of the highest point from which you started gliding or from which you've jumped. So the sort of gimmick of this final level is that you're chasing down all these thieves to gather these keys, as well as, of course, gathering all the loot. And the keys will get you to new stairwells that take you higher and higher until you get to sort of the core of Nasty's Loot.
So these are some stairs here, and now we can jump off and fly a little bit higher. Yeah, get that.
These are the fastest 2,000 gems in the game, particularly at the end, as we'll see soon. But like, there is nothing here but 10s and 25s.
Wow.
And you get a really nice view of how the fan chest projectile mechanic works there.
All right, so here there's a plane. Usually use an audio cue because it's a blind trick, but I only have headphones in my left ear, so we're gonna see if we do it. We're gonna do our best.
Nice.
Hey, we got
Nice,
it.
well done.
That was completely blind.
So there's Thief 3 quick call. And just jumping from the second step is enough for this part. Ooh. Ah.
Not quite.
Okay, let's.
Alright, no Thief 4 quick kill. but this is the last key we need to get.
As a kid, you may have had a lot of trouble with this thief. So there's a plane, a thief in a plane, like the one we just killed, and he goes very fast, and you have to chase him around like 3 or 4 times. But luckily, he's like that thief in Alpine, where he just charges right at you. If you do the sort of right manipulation, that happens.
So it may look like we did all that for just 10 more gems, but the extra height also is nice.
So we're entering the final room of the game, right after we get that. And timing, we're going to jump in a vortex. The timing is going to end on the first black frame of that fade to black. So I will count down, or count. I will say time when that happens. I won't count. The gems. Right.
So many gems left. How are we gonna... Oh, that's a lot.
That's a lot. This is so satisfying. All these 25 gems.
Your big reward for otherwise.
Time is coming up in... Do I have all the gems? Yes. Now.
Time.
There you go.
Treasure in the Dragon Kingdom. How do you feel?
I feel fired up, Bob. And I'm happy for the Dragon World, of course. I certainly wouldn't want to spend the rest of my Dragon days butting heads with nasty Mork and his weird minions.
What's a minion?
Never mind. You know what they say.
What is a minion?
Every good
Yeah,
battle,
that
you need a good
asking the
army.
important questions.
But I felt that nasty.
I feel like the answer has changed over the years. I think that has a very different answer today than it did in 1998.
Yes.
Here we go again.
All right, and that's the game. Thank you, everyone, for the donations, for being here. I've been debianchan. To my right, Stump230, legendary Splash speedrunner. To his right, my good buddy, Praise Big Dog. Thank you so much for watching Spyro 120.
Yes, definitely. Give it up for DW Chan once again. Thank you so much.